Yes, it's case number 170 on the calendar in the matter of Shariat versus Southern. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Shariat, according to the complaint that I've read, you rented an apartment from the defendant. The apartment was on his property, adjacent to a shop that he had, some sort of shop where he did work. You moved into the apartment in September of 2000, is that right? And it is your claim that you lived there from September, October, November, December, and moved out sometime in January, is that right?
No, I had a 6-month lease, which would have ended the end of February.
I asked when you moved out.
Okay, I stayed 2 more months after this. It was I moved out. April. I was forced to move out.
Just
April 6th.
tell me when you moved out.
April 6th.
So you stayed beyond your lease.
Yes.
And you want many things. You want him to pay you for 2 months' rent. You want him to reimburse you for your security deposit. You are charging him with sexual harassment. And you are charging him with an excessive electricity bill because you say that your apartment was also hooked up to his shop. So you got an excessive electricity bill.
Yes.
That's what you want.
Yes.
Okay. What problems do you claim that the defendant caused you that would inspire me to return rent to you?
Okay. I ended up in the hospital 4 different times.
When? When was the first time?
11/28 is the first hospital report I have.
November 28th?
Yeah.
And what were you hospitalized for?
Well, I went in there for chemical poisoning, which they couldn't test for because there's 150 chemicals out there. But it ended up I had a carbon monoxide level of 10.1.
Okay, that's in November.
10.5, yeah.
Shariat, listen to me. That's in November.
Yeah.
Then you went back to the apartment.
Yeah.
When were you hospitalized again?
Okay, the next one was January 5th.
And why did you go to the hospital January 5th?
That time I was vomiting profusely within 1 hour. And again, they detected even a higher carbon monoxide level. That came to 12.1%.
Okay, and then you went back to your apartment.
No, they said don't go back. It's health hazardous.
So,
I checked into a crisis shelter.
But you told me you stayed in the apartment until April 6th.
Well, I was going to tell you I couldn't for 6 days. I was at a crisis shelter. I was too ill.
But then
I
you
did
went
go
back
back
to the apartment.
I did go back after that.
Okay, and you stayed then in January, and in February, and in March. Is that right?
Yes, and I also...
When was your next hospitalization?
Okay, it was in April, the beginning of April.
No, that amounts to 3.
Yes.
You said you were hospitalized 4 times while you were living there.
No, I have 3 reports. I did make a mistake. I did go to an allergist. I may have counted that, feeling ill, but it was not the hospital.
Okay.
I have
Now
an allergist report.
Now, what rent do you want him to give you back?
I feel after the end of November that it was a very miserable situation.
And you should have moved.
I had nowhere to move, and I had a 6-month lease.
That's not his problem. That's not his problem. You don't live out the terms of your lease. I mean, unless there's something wrong with you.
Well, it's better than going back into a slum apartment where I came from.
Then that's the choice you made, right?
Yeah.
You stayed there November when you felt sick. You stayed there December, you felt sick. You stayed December, January, February, March. Then you move out in April, and then you sue him for rent. Forget rent. Forget it. All right, let's get to the security deposit. Did he keep your security deposit?
Oh, yeah.
How much was your security deposit?
$400. And I
Did she give, what?
Excuse me. I also paid $400 in April and had to leave on the 6th.
Okay. Yeah. Did she give you $400 for April?
Yes, ma'am. She did not have all of her stuff out by the end of April.
Just a minute.
Also,
when did you move out all of your stuff?
I had to stay with my friend.
I don't care what. I don't care
and
where
I
to
came
stay.
back on the 13th, and I tried to start moving it. I was unable to because of the
If your
fumes.
stuff is there, you're there.
Okay, it was completely moved out April 16th.
Why did you keep a security deposit?
I have pictures here where she busted down one of the beds that was left in there for him to use, unrepairable. And also, I have pictures of the apartment, what the apartment was here, but also a spot on the carpet in the front room coming in that will not come up, and the shower stall, which was left so dirty in the bottom that the stains will not come out of the bottom.
Show me the bills to have all of that stuff fixed.
Your Honor, shh. Oh,
show me the bills to have all of that stuff fixed. Either you paid to have it fixed, or you have estimates about
I did not have the bills on it. The bed was unrepairable, so I got rid of it.
Forget it. She gets her security back. Unless you have bills to show me what it costs to clean the carpet, repair the carpet, clean up the shower, anything else, she gets her security deposit back. Do you understand that?
Yes.
How much was her security deposit? $400?
Yes.
Good. Perfect. So it's $400 on her side, but no rent. You stayed, that's your problem. Now, let's get to the electricity bill.
Okay. It comes to $1,032 right here. And I have an inspector's report showing that he was
For how many months is the $1,032?
For the entire time I was able to live there. That would be until April 6th.
So September, October, November, December, January, February, March, part of April. So you're talking about almost 8 months. Is that right?
Yes. But the thing is, I had virtually no heat while I was living there.
Just a minute. $129 a month. Now, is there electric heat?
Yes, in one room.
Is the electricity from her apartment tied into any other area in your home or business?
Yes.
Which place? The shop?
The shop, it wasn't used. It's used to run an air compressor once in a while.
She's not going to pay for that.
Okay, and some fluorescent lights in there once in a while. It was hardly there.
Well, how were you supposed to divide this electricity bill. She shouldn't
Okay.
be responsible for all
She
of the
did not pay
electricity.
any of the water bill. I took care of the water bill, and when she moved in, she was supposed to pay all the electricity bill.
Oh, she was supposed to pay all the electricity bill for her apartment, not for your shop. Did your lease
It's all
require?
connected in one meter, and that was in the agreement when she moved in.
Show me, because I would think that you have to be crazy to say, I'll pay for my apartment and your shop too, even if you only use the shop occasionally. That's ridiculous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julia Shariat says former landlord Bernard Southard tried to poison her with pesticide. Julia is also accusing Bernard of propositioning her for sex.
Do you have a written lease with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it? Okay. Did you pay for any water usage when you were there?
No.
Because this says that you shall be responsible for the utilities, including water. Now, Mr. Southard says that you didn't pay for the water, but he has to show me the water bills. You have water bills?
No, ma'am, I did not bring the water bill.
How large is this apartment? Put your hand down. I don't need you.
Okay. It
How
was
large
about
is this apartment?
Probably 15 to 1,700 square feet. Had virtually no heated, only heated one room. He was in this shop and warehouse 10 to 12 hours a day most of the time. I
Let me
need
see
to
the
say
bill.
also something about the shower. It was
I didn't
loaded.
ask you about a shower. Let me see the bill, the electricity bill.
Okay.
Springfield, Illinois. It gets very cold in the wintertime, doesn't it there?
I was living in about 50.
I'm asking you if it gets cold there.
Yes. Very cold. Yes.
And you were there September, October, November, December, January, and February. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. This says the entire amount due was $834.
I applied for low energy assistant. They paid for over 200 and some, so that's deducted.
The bill here is $834. Is that right? You told me 1032.
But then low energy assistant paid for 200 some.
So you didn't pay for it.
Not for the 1,000, but the 834 is still standing.
Hi.
But the reason I brought this was because, see, I felt he was using my assistance program for his benefit, ma'am.
You don't get credit for that. Why did you tell me it was $1,032?
It was until they stepped in and helped. But I felt he was using my assistance program to his benefit since he used this shop
So what
10
should
to
I do with
12
that?
hours.
Give you the credit for it?
I just don't like users. I felt you should know that I did apply for the energy assistance, and at first it was 1,000. That was hard to apply for. It's demeaning, and I didn't like to do that.
Your Honor,
So your bill was really $100 a month for electricity that includes heat. Is that right, in your apartment?
I did have heat in one room, yes.
Whether you had heat in one room or a half room, you had heat in the apartment in Illinois in December.
Your Honor,
What?
the heaters was in the other rooms. They was 220. She had her little
Listen to me. You
110
caused
heater.
the problem, sir.
Pardon?
You caused the problem. The problem is if you rent an apartment, you should have separate meters for every part of the premises that you're renting. Now, you didn't have a separate meter, so now I'm going to have to make a calculated guess as to what portion of this electric bill I'm attributing to you, because it's unjust for her to have to pay for anything in your shop. So her entire bill was $800 for 8 months. I'm attributing $25 a month to you, sir. $75 a month to the plaintiff. Electric heat is very expensive. That includes lights and everything else. $75 a month doesn't seem like an awful lot for electric. Does it seem like a lot for electric with electric heat? Not to me. Once lived in an apartment that had electric heat. I got my first bill, $600. It was a 3-room apartment. Okay, so we are up to $600. $400 for the security deposit and $200 that I'm giving you credit for towards your electric bill. That's his responsibility. Now let's get to the sexual harassment, which is the other part of your claim.
After 2.5 months of living there, he resented the fact that I was going back with an old boyfriend. He got on a revenge trip and he started just barging into my apartment. He walked upstairs into my bathroom one morning and then actually took a step into my bedroom. That's when he went too far. I called the sergeant, and here's a report. She felt like it was so
Don't
threatening
tell me
to
what she felt. I'm not interested in hearing what you think she felt.
Okay.
Listen to me. You filed this report December 30th. You stayed on January, February, March with a man that you say is threatening you. And he threatened her.
By his presence, by his barging in, yes.
That's not what it says here. It just says, and he has threatened her, is what you told the police.
I felt like if I didn't be overly nice or friendly, I mean, then he would pull tactics as poisoning. That's threatening.
Move.
I didn't want to go into government housing.
Then you must not have felt that threatened.
Yeah, but I would have had to give my dog up. When you weigh it out, which is better?
Well, if someone is threatening me, trying to poison me, feel as if he is going to stalk you by coming into your home unannounced and do other dastardly deeds to you, I would prefer to live in a cardboard box under a bridge. I'm giving you $600, madam. That is $400 for your security deposit, which you are entitled to. I don't believe that he sexually harassed you in any way.
He
I am
offered
giving
me
you
$50 for a job.
What?
He offered me $50 for a job.
Did you turn him down?
You betcha.
Good. And $200 for the credit on your electricity. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Her own brother was there from California. Said she was mentally ill.
My brother even stepped in and said, leave her alone.
She lied all the time. She always did.
He started yelling, get off my property, and I had a lease there. And, you know, I mean, it was just insane.
You know, it's clear that she's obviously had some psychiatric care throughout her life.
I believe firmly, look into the background of the landlord.
And now the next case.
All parties on Arredondo versus Bradley. Step forward, please.
20-year-old student Genevieve Arredondo is suing her former friend, 22-year-old telemarketer Tylen Bradley, for the cost of a tuxedo rental and a traffic ticket.
Ms. Arredondo, you know the defendant since high school, according to your papers, for a long time. You were friends, maybe a little bit more. You claim a series of small loans to the defendant over a short period of time, several months ago. One for some tickets and then one for a tuxedo rental. The whole big case is about $150.
Yes, ma'am.
So, two of you must not have anything special to do with your time other than come to court over $150, but I'm prepared to hear you. When was the first loan?
July 21st of 2000.
For what?
The tuxedo rental for $68.78.
What was that for?
Mr. Bradley was participating in a wedding, and he was unemployed at the moment. And I told him I would let him borrow the money so he could buy the tuxedo.
You didn't buy a
Oh,
tuxedo.
rent the tuxedo, I'm sorry.
Put it on your credit card?
Yeah, I did. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
you wore the tuxedo?
Yes, or a tuxedo.
Did you ask her for the money for the tuxedo?
Well, actually, what had happened was we was discussing it, and I had told her what had happened to why I wasn't able to get it, and she told me, well, if
Why
you need
weren't
help.
you able to get it?
Well, because at the time I wasn't employed regularly, and also I had some money stolen from me that I had saved to get it, and so she said, well, she'll be able to help me. Well, she didn't actually know at the time if she would be able to, but if she could, she would. Then she came back to me and said that she would be able to, and so I accepted because I was going to be best man, so I needed a tuxedo.
Did you say you'd pay it back?
No, at that time there was no discussion of me paying it back.
Why not?
Because, as my understanding, she was doing it out the kindness of her heart.
No.
Did you say to her, that's really very nice of you. When I have the money, I'll pay you back?
No, there was no, like I said, there was no discussion over any repayment.
When did he say he would pay you back? Look at me.
He didn't say a
Right.
specific date.
He didn't say, I'll pay you back. Did you expect to go to this wedding with him?
No.
Didn't think he was going to ask you to take you to the wedding?
I thought he would have asked, but he never did.
Right. You thought he would have asked. Paid for the tuxedo. Maybe he'd ask you to go to the wedding, then you'd go together. What's the next one? Come on, let me hear.
A month later, he had an outstanding ticket, and he told me he didn't have the money again to pay it. And he said if he didn't pay it, he was going to get a warrant for his arrest. So my stepbrother gave me $80. I put it into my account, or $88. I put it into my account and made a check to Metropolitan Court, and I gave it to Mr. Bradley.
And when did he say he would pay you back?
I just said whenever you get a job, you can pay me back.
Is that what you said to him? Whenever you get a job?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, where are you working?
Right now,
Yeah.
MCI, man.
When did you get that job?
In January.
So why don't you pay her back this money for the ticket?
Because it wasn't a loan. I mean, the whole reason why I think that she even wants the money was because of the fact, like, you going back to the wedding, was that I did not invite her.
Okay,
And-
forget the wedding.
okay,
Forget the
wedding. Okay,
tuxedo.
we back
I don't
on the
believe
ticket.
that was a loan.
Okay. So
But
I
if
mean,
you have
back
a
to
warrant issued for your arrest, and you can get out of having the warrant issued for your arrest by getting $88 from her, you take $88 from her, why don't you give her back the money?
Because, again, it wasn't a loan. I mean, she just did it like to help me out.
Why would you want to just help you out?
Because, I mean, we were friends. I mean, maybe, she thought there was a little bit more. Maybe she wanted a little bit more. But we were just friends, and the whole talk about repayment wasn't brought up until I had moved in with the mother of my daughter. Then that's when she started saying, well, I need to be paid back. You need to pay me back. You said you was going to pay me back.
If somebody helps you out because they like you and they don't want you to go to jail, then the honorable thing to do, the nice thing to do, but most of all, the honorable thing to do, the just thing to do, is to pay him back the money. Now, this tuxedo business, as I said to you, I think she thought that she would get to go to the party with you. You didn't invite her. That wasn't really nice. However, it's different when you say, unless you give me the money, I'm going to go to jail.
No, I did not say that to her. She asked me what happens if you don't pay it.
Now,
Then I told her that.
what did you tell her?
Then I told her that it'll turn into a warrant. Eventually, I would go to jail.
Grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $88. Get a life, sir. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 298 on the calendar in the matter of Lord versus Rudell. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Are you Alex?
Yeah.
How old are you, Alex?
7.
Are you smart?
Yes.
You want to come up and sit here and talk to me for a minute?
No, thank you.
He said he was smart, right?
It's really nice up here. I have a cushion for you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Come on, she can talk to you better up here.
Come on. I can talk to you better than sitting in that
No,
chair.
thank you.
No, thank you. Okay. Got it. Alex is a little nervous.
I do, I don't.
Miss Laura, according to your complaint, the defendant is a former roommate and friend of yours.
Yes.
You are suing him for many things. One of the things that you are suing him for is you believe that his son, Alex, injured your cat, and
Yes.
you had substantial veterinary bills.
Yes.
You are also suing him for some rent and utility bills and a whole bunch of other stuff. But the thrust of your complaint are the vet bills for the cat. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay. Based upon what I read, you had agreed to babysit for Alex that day, and his mother had brought him over. Is that you? They are not together.
No.
But you were going to do some babysitting, and they were going out someplace.
Correct.
The defendant and his former wife?
Right.
Okay. While you were all sitting around in the kitchen, tell me what you heard.
I was actually sitting at the kitchen table, so I had a view both of the hallway where the cat came from and where the child was sitting. I saw my cat leave my bedroom and walk down the hall. I saw him get up and run towards the cat. All of a sudden, the cat screamed a really funny scream, and I didn't get up right away. One more scream, and I did get up. And seeing her laying on the stairs, she was just laying there. Her eyes were kind of large and glassy, and she just looked different than any time I'd ever seen her. It was very scary for me and her, I'm sure. Picked her up and felt her leg and said that, yes, indeed, it was broken. I immediately called my veterinarian to tell them that we were on our way, that the cat had a broken leg. They left me with the child, and I got in the car with the cat to go.
And Alex.
And Alex, yeah. They had plans to go out, and quite truthfully, after the fact, I thought, why didn't they take the kid? But I was just so upset about the cat that I just had her, and my only thought was to get her to the vet as quickly as possible. They were going to be closing, and they knew we were coming. She said that in looking at the x-ray,
You can't tell me what she said.
Okay.
Unless you have a report from the vet, do you?
I do have reports from the vet.
I'd like to see the report
And
from the
pictures
vet.
also, Veek.
Okay.
Here's the picture.
And the photographs. Well, according to the letter, unfortunately, the fracture did not heal
Correct.
properly, so the only option left was amputation of that leg.
Her body began to absorb the leg, and she became in a lot of pain. So we tried pain pills for a short time, trying to preserve the leg. That didn't work, and the leg had to be amputated.
Is she doing all right now?
She's fine.
Okay. Now, I'd like to know, Miss Laura, what makes you think that Alex did something to your cat?
When we were sitting at the table, and I saw the cat come this way, and I saw Alex go that way, and then she screamed. There was no one else there, first of all. When we ran there, Alex was standing at the top. It was an exposed stairway, and he was standing at the top there and just looking down. A few days later, I asked him if he did it, and he said yes.
How did he say he did it?
I sat down in my kitchen when he was left with me again, and I just sat down, I looked at him, and I said, did you break Geek's leg? And he looked at me and put his head down and said yes. I believe he threw her down the stairs. I mean, that's the only, because the stairs were, she was on the bottom of the stairs, or towards the bottom.
Now, you said that when you saw your cat go up the stairs, you saw Alex follow her.
She went down the hall, and he went the other way. So she probably ended up right by the stairs, and there's a railing there. And my suspicion, although I don't know, but just from where she landed, was that he had grabbed for her, and she ended up going right over. Again, it's what the vet had told me, but they said there was so much force of the injury, it wasn't just a fall, to have such a bad injury to her leg, to her one leg especially.
Alex, do you remember when the cat got hurt?
No.
You don't remember that day?
You remember
Do you-
the day, not the exact date.
Do you remember going with Miss Laura to the veterinarian with the cat?
Yeah.
Well, that was the day the cat got hurt, okay? Were you there when the cat got hurt?
Yeah.
Were you trying to play with the cat?
No.
Tell me what happened.
I was holding it. It came over me and rubbing it. So I thought it wanted to go downstairs. And I picked it up. And I think it pushed down so hard that I think it broke its leg.
Okay, so you were holding the cat, and it jumped out of your arms and fell down the stairs? Had you played with the cat before, Alex?
No.
That was the first time you ever played with the cat? There are other cats in the house, aren't there?
Yeah.
Do you play with those cats?
Not that much.
Not that much? Do you like cats?
Yeah.
You weren't trying to hurt the cat, were you?
No.
So now you know how it happened. Did your son tell you that before?
Well, see, that's the thing. She didn't ask him.
No, I'm asking you a question.
This story
I'm
has
asking you.
changed.
Shh, listen to me. You're not letting me finish.
Sorry.
Stop being defensive. Did your son tell you at any time before today that that's what happened with the cat?
Oh, I'd say about 4 or 5 days ago. Would be the first time that I heard that he even picked up the cat.
Okay. So this is a recent thing that you just heard. You mean just recently?
Just recently.
A year later?
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something?
Yes.
He also told me that when I sat down and we had an argument, he said that if I pursued this, that he would say he and Ann and the child were sitting in the kitchen together,
What?
that he would lie. You're lying. You know you are.
No, that's ridiculous.
Miss Laura, listen to me.
Consummate victim. That's what she is.
No, no, no. Listen to me, sir. There is no question.
Am I done asking?
I don't know what you're getting angry about. She's not a consummate victim. Her cat was injured. But for the actions of your son, her cat would not have been injured. Now, I'm not suggesting to you that this was a purposeful thing. I'm suggesting to you that he's a little child and that he picked up a rather large cat, and the cat may not have been comfortable in his arms when he picked up the cat and wanted to get down. And because they were standing so close to the steps, the cat was thrown down the steps and broke her leg. There may not even be an issue as to liability on your part because you were all there together.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marie Lohr says her former roommate's son, 7-year-old Alex Rudell, injured her cat. Marie says the cat's leg had to be amputated.
What were the veterinary bills for the cat?
1985-45.
Can I see the bill, please? Did she discuss these bills with you, sir?
No, ma'am.
Did she ever tell you that she thought you should pay or help pay for these bills?
Eventually done.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And what did you tell her?
The thing is that we didn't see anything. I don't know. She's saying she saw Alex and the cat. Mind you, there's 8 cats and 3 great big dogs that live in this house.
Well, right now, let's say it's only a few days ago, sir, if I believe you, that you finally ascertained from your son that he was responsible for the cat's injury.
Correct.
So I'm asking you, let's talk about today.
Okay.
If you knew then what you know now, what would you have said to her with regard to the veterinary bills? Would you have told her to put the cat down because it's too expensive?
Would I have told her?
Yes.
I understand she does love animals. There's no
No,
doubt
I'm
about
asking
that.
you a question. Would you have told her that it was too expensive, she should put the cat down?
Would I? Yes.
That's what you would have told her. That's what I assume you would have told her. But that's not an option. You know, people who love animals the same way that some people who have children love their children.
Which I understand.
Okay, so if you understand that, then you can't make that kind of an insensitive comment.
But
But
to
what?
me personally, $2,000 for a cat is a lot of money.
Well, $2,000 to fix a cat is a lot of money. And do you have children?
No, they're my children.
Shh, I asked you if you had a question. You have children? Those, as she said,
Right.
are her children. Now, you have one child.
Right.
God forbid something happened to your child. What would you think if somebody said to you, well, we're not going to spend $100,000 to give them that surgery. You can make another one.
I understand that.
How would you feel? Would you think that they were an insensitive moron?
That's not what I meant by it.
Well,
I mean,
what would you mean by it?
just, I mean, it's a lot. I understand the part about the kids being her kids. I
No, but you
understand
know,
that.
you can't be. I know you say you understand it,
I mean,
but
I
if you
had
say you
a cat
understand it,
for
then
the
you have.
longest time,
If
you
you
know.
say you understand it, then you have to appreciate how callous that sounds.
It wasn't meant to sound callous.
Well, that was meant to save you some money, and you are partially responsible for this.
No.
I don't think he's totally responsible for it because you were all there, and each of you could have monitored the child a little bit better. Now, what other items do you believe that he owes you?
He stopped payment on a check for his rent.
For what month?
It was actually for August, but he gave it to me in mid-September.
Did he live there in August?
Yeah, he was there all of August.
Okay, so and he never paid you August rent.
No, it's with this check that he stopped payment on.
Okay, let me see it.
And these are the charges. I don't know if you have those.
What else?
That was also the utilities. And actually, you have those up there already.
Do you have in your evidence, sir, payment for August rent?
No, ma'am.
What else?
I had the locks changed because I was afraid Rob had threatened my dog Henry and said he was going to shoot him.
Good idea when somebody moves out to change the locks anyway. What else? That's your bill.
Well, actually, I don't ever do it.
Good. No, that's your problem. You should
okay.
do it. What else?
I trusted him. The utilities.
What date did you move out, sir?
I believe it was.
It was a
either
Sunday,
week-
16th of September.
Sunday.
It was the 16th of September that you moved out? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because she was threatening my son. She called him
Because I see you wrote this check on
Right.
the 15th of September.
because I was leaving.
17.
To cover what month?
September.
I can't tell whether it's September or October. You have any proof of rent receipts, et cetera, for the entire
again, I
period from
trusted him,
1999?
and-
Well, he's going to pay you for half of your vet bills. That's $1,000. He's going to pay you this check, which was payment was stopped on this for a month's rent. That's $300.99, and for the $12 for the stop payment, that's $1,312.99. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Anything is possible in terms of how the particular cat got injured.
He tends to have a temper, and I think that when the cat tried to get away, that she launched, and he probably just kind of pitched her.
She forced me out of the house. I stopped payment on my check.
When someone says they're going to shoot my dog, I don't ask them if they have a gun or not. I'm just thinking they're going to hurt my dog, and I'm next.
It's done. She can move on with her pathetic life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Reckenmacher versus Smith. Step forward, please.
40-year-old professional clown Paul Reckenmacher says he was requested to perform as Captain Knucklehead by 47-year-old event planner Sherry Smith. Paul says at the last second, she hired some other clown.
How should I phrase this? Mr. Reckenmacher, you are a clown by profession. And Ms. Smith, you're a party planner.
Yes, I am.
It is your claim, Mr. Reckenmacher, that the defendant breached a contract with you for services that you were to perform for her, You want to be compensated to the tune of $5,000 for that breach of contract. May I see the contract? Are these the original contracts, sir?
Yes, they are.
They're not signed.
That's true.
Thank you.
Then if they're not signed, that's not a contract.
Thank you.
But we have an
Just a
agreement.
second.
Let's go.
All this is statements from you, and this.
That was the sales manager at the time, Melody Calvert, and the agreement was as such that I would have exclusive booking rights in exchange for a lower price and the ability to substitute other entertainers if I couldn't do that. And that's what happened is she asked me a week before, and she knew very well, we all agreed on this, and she said, are you going to be performing at this event? And I said, no, I'm going to be substituting, as we agreed in our meeting earlier on. And she knew about this many, many months before in my profession.
Just a second. Just wait 1 second, sir. Let me go back. Am I to understand that your lawsuit now is that you did not perform at these functions, but that you hired someone else to perform at these functions, and therefore you fulfilled your obligation under this unsigned agreement?
That would have been the situation under the first two. But she said since I wasn't doing the first two, that she wouldn't do any of the other contracts or have me do them.
Stop right there. I'm going to make this very simple. On the 10th of June, 2001, it says Captain Knucklehead will perform 5 hours. You are Captain Knucklehead. You did not perform for 5 hours. Who did you send?
I would have sent another.
No, not would have sent.
I didn't send anyone.
So nobody went June 10th?
No.
Services not provided? June 23rd, you did not perform. Did you send someone else?
I did not.
July 27th, you did not perform. Did you send someone else?
No, I did not. And let me save you some time. I didn't do the last one either.
Then you don't have a cause of action, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you do not have a formal written contract signed by both parties with an understanding, then what you are suing for is what we call, in legal terms, you want to be paid under a theory of quantum meruit, which is that you get paid because you performed a service, she accepted the service, and you have the right to be paid pursuant to that service. So if you performed and she didn't pay you, you get paid. If, for instance, on June 10th, you sent someone else that she accepted who performed in your place, then you get paid. If you do not have a written contract and you didn't perform any service, you get
So verbal contracts mean nothing.
You get nothing, zero, zip,
Even if
nada, zilch, you get nothing. If you showed up, or if somebody showed up, you would have gotten paid. You didn't show up, you didn't send anybody, you don't get paid. Goodbye and good luck. It's been nice seeing you. Have a good life.
I didn't get to say anything.
Parties are excused. This way, Captain Knucklehead. Now, this is case number 245 on the calendar in the matter of Danilova versus Starry. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat, please.
Ms. Danilova, it is your claim that the defendant purposely damaged your car by throwing a coffee mug at it.
Yes.
Which caused it to dent and something to crack. The defendant says he absolutely did that.
Yes, I did.
And he says he's got a good reason. So I have a few questions to ask you. I gather that you people really don't know each other.
No.
But you live in a house that's in a cul-de-sac, and you have a friend that lives in that cul-de-sac,
Yes.
whom you visit frequently.
Well, not anymore.
Well, you used to.
Yeah.
How old are you?
19.
And you've been told before by people that live on the street that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that a fair statement?
No.
Have you ever been found guilty of driving at an excessive rate of speed?
Yes.
Where?
Freeways, mostly.
How many speeding violations do you have?
Since I had my license.
So I assume that you were driving before you had your license. You're not going to tell me that. You're going to tell me after you had your license. How many speeding violations have you had?
I think like 7.
7?
Yes.
So it wouldn't be beyond a reasonable person's imagination that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that right?
Right.
So why don't you tell me what happened on the day that Mr. Starry threw a coffee mug at your car?
Me and my sister were driving to pick up my friend. As we were driving by Mr. Starry and his friends, I don't know, my windows were up, so all I heard was just a bunch of yelling, and I saw a bunch of people outside on the sidewalks in the street.
So that there were people out there. Were there adults and children?
I saw adults, mostly.
Or maybe you were going too fast to see the children.
No. It's the cul-de-sac that they live in. It's really hard to speed because it's at a curve, and there are cars
Most
parked.
cul-de-sacs are on a curve. That's what a cul-de-sac is. It's a curve. Comes around.
Well,
so you went to pick up your friend, and what happened after you went to pick up your friend?
While we were in her house, some ladies came up to the door, said, you know, she was speeding, you know, slow down, and I acknowledged that.
So you acknowledged that you were going too fast?
Yes, I listened to them.
Why did you do it?
I mean, I wasn't speeding like going 30, I wasn't going over 35 miles an hour.
35 miles an hour is not what you do in a cul-de-sac. Then you left. In the car. You were driving. Is that right?
Yes.
And what happened?
As we were driving by Mr. Starry, something was thrown at my car. It bounced off, and that's when I stopped the car and got out to see what was going on.
Did you exchange words?
Yes, we did.
What were the words?
Well, he was just yelling at me to, I don't know if I could try.
Slow down.
Well, he was just yelling and screaming and getting in my face. He didn't say it politely.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, on the day in question, I was inside my house when she came into the neighborhood, and my wife and two neighbor ladies went to the door and knocked on the door and asked her to slow down. What they reported to me was they laughed and slammed the door in their face. When I heard
That sounds right.
When I heard that, I got irritated. When she backed out of her driveway and screeched her tires to come up the cul-de-sac, without really even any consideration, I stepped out in front of her and threw my coffee cup at her car.
Can I say something about what he said?
Sure.
That car could not screech tires if you tried because it's a Corolla and it was an automatic. When the ladies came up to the door, it was my friend's mother who actually opened the door, and I don't think she would slam the door in their face.
Did you
She
laugh
came
at
up to
her?
us saying, there's ladies outside saying you guys were speeding. We're like, well, okay.
Is that what you said, like, well, okay?
Well, my friend came up to the door to talk to them, and they were just yelling and screaming, saying, you're speeding, you're speeding.
And you said, well, okay.
I said, okay, I understand. You know, what else am I supposed to say?
Okay. Now, would it be a fair statement that prior to this incident, you would go and pick up your friends pretty often?
Almost daily.
Now, after this incident, would it be a fair statement that you don't go to pick up your friend anymore?
Yes.
Oh.
Shh, just a second. I'm sorry. That you don't go there every day anymore. And you don't go there every day anymore because you're frightened to go on that street.
No, I don't go on that street anymore because he constantly harasses me. I've had this whole summer.
So that you are frightened to go on that street because he harasses you. And you're afraid what might happen.
Yeah, he's threatened me before.
Not before this incident,
Not
you
before
said.
this incident.
Afterwards. So it would be fair to say that as a result of him throwing a mug at your car, you don't go to pick up your friend anymore.
Yes, you can say that.
So you accomplished your purpose. Is that right? Just answer my question. So you accomplished your purpose. You don't have to worry. Just listen to me. You don't have to worry about her as you did previously.
Now it's that way, Your Honor, but it wasn't that way until after, I would say, June or July.
Fine, but then you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. Is
Right,
that
but I
right?
finally had to take her to another court for attempting to run me over in the street.
But now she doesn't come back.
Finally, yes, and I'm happy
Perfect.
with that.
Now, I absolutely think that each of you should bear a certain responsibility with regard to this incident. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Good. I'm awarding you $1. The rest of it's your fault. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That dollar thing was totally uncalled for.
I'm happy.
I did what he wanted me to do. I stopped coming over there. I stopped speeding.
I'm happy with that. That's what I wanted.
And now the next case.
All parties on Laram versus Huth. Step forward, please.
35-year-old teacher Susan Laram is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 29-year-old Mason Ron Huth, for unpaid living expenses and damage to her car.
Ms. Laram, the complaint that I read said that you lived with the defendant for about 1.5 years.
He lived with me.
He lived with you. And that you no longer lived together. The breakup was acrimonious, and he owes you for a variety of things. He owes you for rent. He owes you for damage he did to your car at one point. And he owes you for smashing up some work that was done in your backyard.
Yes.
When did you start living together?
In June of 2000.
And what was the rent arrangement?
At that time, he was supposed to help me out with the bills, and he didn't do that. So after some arguing, I had him put it down in writing.
That sounds romantic. Can I see that, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Laram is suing former live-in boyfriend Ron Huth for unpaid living expenses and for damaging her truck in a fit of rage. Ron says Susan tried to make off with his children's car seats.
Well, this is dated May of this year.
Yes.
When did you move out?
I moved out a week after that note was written.
Okay, so this writing is meaningless. You were fighting at the time. I want to know what your arrangement was from the time he moved in until May of 2001, because that's when he moved out.
Right.
Did he contribute any money to the house?
No, he did not.
According to you, Mr. Huth, you gave her your paychecks.
Every paycheck that I made from the time that I started living with Sue, and to make